Liberal MP Nate Erskine-Smith appeals provincial nomination loss after fishy data comes out about the race. For those that don't know, Nate Erskine-Smith is currently an MP for Mark Carney's federal Liberals, and he represents Beaches East York in Toronto. But recently, the nearby provincial riding of Scarborough Southwest became available because their representative, or MPP, left to join Mark Carney's federal Liberals. And when this happens, when an MPP or an MP leaves to run federally or provincially run in a different area, or leaves just to retire, they hold a by-election to replace them. And when any election is held, but in this case specifically a by-election, they need to hold nomination races for each of the parties so that they know who their candidates are going to be. It's sort of an election to see who's going to run in the actual election. But in these special nomination elections, only the members of said party can vote to choose who they want to represent them in the election, who they want their candidate to be. And Nate Erskine-Smith announced that he was going to run to be the Liberal nominee so that he could run as the Liberal candidate for the Ontario Provincial Liberals in the Ontario Provincial riding of Scarborough Southwest, which would mean he would leave Mark Carney's cabinet to join the Provincial Liberals. But this isn't the first time I might leave that one in, that's funny. But this isn't the first time Nate Erskine-Smith has expressed interest in Ontario provincial politics. In 2023, the Ontario Liberal Party was having an election to find a new leader, and Nate Erskine-Smith announced he was going to run. Unfortunately for him, though, despite making it to the final round of voting, he narrowly lost to Bonnie Crombie by only 882 votes out of almost 13,000 total votes. Smith was first elected to his riding of Beaches East York in 2015 and served as sort of a backbench MP from 2015 to 2024 for about 9 years there. And during one of Justin Trudeau's cabinet shuffles, he was made the Minister of Housing. But then last year, Mark Carney took him out of that position, making him once again a backbench MP. So it's safe to say that after years of being what they call a backbencher, he's probably a little frustrated, and that's why he wants to lead the Ontario Liberals, as it's a better opportunity than being a federal backbench MP. Now, if you're more of a conservative like I am, then you might not think that any of this is particularly interesting, but the story doesn't end there. Nate Erskine-Smith ran to be the Liberal candidate for the actual by-election that'll take place soon. And despite being sort of a political household name in the region after representing his riding for the last 11 years, he lost to a pretty unknown name by the name of, I'm going to try not to butcher this, but Asanul Hafiz, who, by the way, was drowning in controversies and won by only 19 votes, and this was after 1,265 members were barred from voting for vaguely not meeting the eligibility requirements. So safe to say, people were confused, and so was Nate Erskine-Smith himself. Despite the House Leader of the Ontario Liberals, John Fraser, defending the results publicly, Nate Erskine-Smith filed an appeal of the results, and in that appeal he claims that there were 34 more votes in the ballot boxes than people who voted, which is significantly more than the 19 votes Hafiz won by. So let's recap, because it's a lot of information, and I want to make sure we're all on the same page. Nate Erskine-Smith, a household name among Liberals in Toronto, who has represented the region for 11 years, has won 4 elections, almost beat Bonnie Crombie in the Liberal Ontario leadership race, lost to an unknown new candidate, Asanul Hafiz, by only 19 votes after 1,265 members were barred from voting, and there were 34 more votes in ballot boxes than people who voted. But it's important to note that this isn't the first time a nomination race or a by-election or a riding or the election happening in a specific riding has faced scrutiny and allegations of fraud. The riding of Don Valley North in 2019 also faced allegations of fraud after an investigation found, quote, irregularities, unquote. The conspiracy went that the Liberal Party of Canada was that the Liberal Party was bussing in foreign students, giving them fake IDs, and telling them to vote for the candidate Han Dong. And even outside of that, parties pick and choose candidates all the time. Some even have negated the nomination process entirely, some for valid reasons and others for not so valid reasons. And this is a very big issue, and I really hope that the spotlight being on this helps move us towards a more productive solution. I would highly recommend, if you're interested in finding out more about this, checking out Wyatt Claypool's video on this. I will link it in one of these corners up here. He does a much more in-depth job than I can in this video, covering every aspect of it. But back to the video. As of right now, Doug Ford has not announced a specific date for the by-election, but it needs to happen legally before August. And Nate Erskine-Smith's appeal is still under formal review. If the review process happens quickly, and let's say the appeal is successful, it's likely then that they'll redo the nomination process. But crucially, it's important to note that Nate Erskine-Smith has actually said he wouldn't run again if they redid the nomination, to kind of portray the image that this isn't about him. Or if the review process takes longer and it's too close to the deadline of the by-election, it's very possible and likely that the Ontario Liberal Party would just simply appoint a candidate. According to 338 Canada, the provincial riding of Scarborough Southwest is polling at 44% for the NDP and only 25% for the Ontario Liberals, meaning it's highly unlikely that whoever the candidate ends up being would even win the by-election. But you also never know. I remember the last election, 2025, there were many ridings that it looked like were impossible for either the Conservatives or Liberals to win because they were strongholds for third parties, and both parties proved them wrong on many occasions. So you just never know with how campaigns go. So you just never know, because campaigns are incredibly important in politics and have often proved polls wrong or changed polls entirely. So subscribe if you learned something new and you want to be informed on everything related to Canadian politics. God bless you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.